This is News 6 Tonight.
Hey, good Wednesday evening, everyone. Welcome to the midweek edition of News 6 Tonight. We are so happy you made time to kind of catch up on the day's news. And man, have we got news. You know how we always say why is there always a Florida connection? I love it when there are great stories.
You just stole my first dadgum line.
Did I?
What's wrong with you? I said,
let's
remember this one truth in news. There's always a Florida
Let's flip it and
connection.
reverse it, and I'll unsay it.
No, think back. This was an awful story. The
It's
Palisades
terrible.
fire happened early this year. It was the worst fire in LA history. 12 people died in this thing. Thousands of homes and businesses
Almost
were
7,000.
burned. And today they make an arrest in Melbourne, Florida. A Florida man is arrested, accused of starting this fire. ATF agents took down a guy named Jonathan Rinderknecht, and our investigative reporter Mike DeForest takes a look at the case.
Jonathan Rinderknecht appeared in a federal courtroom very briefly as the judge read the charges against him. He will be back here Thursday for a detention hearing. Rinderknecht is charged with destruction of property by means of a fire. If convicted, he faces a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison and a maximum of 20 years. Now, federal prosecutors say Rinderknecht, quote, maliciously started the Palisades fire in California, which killed a dozen people and destroyed thousands of homes. Rinderknecht was living in California at the time and working as an Uber driver, prosecutors say. On New Year's Eve, authorities allege he dropped off a passenger in Pacific Palisades, who later described him as angry, and then drove to a hiking trail in the mountains. Investigators say Rinderknecht unsuccessfully tried calling 911. He allegedly told investigators he was at the bottom of the trail when he made those phone calls, but authorities say that was a lie because cell phone data allegedly put him just 30 feet away from the fire.
To know that an individual started this and committed this heinous crime, I am glad that he is arrested. So it's a step forward to justice, but people are still not back in their homes. And I won't be satisfied until every Palisadian that wants to return home returns home.
Yeah, that place is all burned up still. So there's a digital trail, according to law enforcement, a very clear trail that leads to this guy, they say. Apparently, he called 911 when the fire started. But then they found on his phone there were ChatGPT sessions. So you know how you go to ChatGPT and you have it say, draw a picture, create a graphic for you.
We all use it.
Well, he created, I read the whole prompt and it's weird. And it's like this
specific
dystopian fire, poor people, rich people. And it basically describes the scene that he is accused of creating.
Yeah. And, you know, you were hearing people in that piece there say that, you know, it's a horrific crime and people are still not back in their homes. Fewer than 10% of the people who have applied for permits to rebuild, like 800 people have applied for permits, 145 have been approved, and they still are they're just starting the process of rebuilding. This is from January, and you're still not in your home. And we were trying to compare it to sizes of places that we would be familiar here with in Florida to the acreage and the
Yeah.
landmass that burned. And I think we came up with a few places. The Villages is one of them.
21,000 square.
37.
no,
It's the size of Disney. It's
That
almost
basically-
40,
yeah.
40,000. If I can't remember the acreage, but it's almost the size of Disney or Apopka or the Villages. There's so many different places. And you think about that, all those places were just burned to the ground. That's
People
everything.
died. I'm a
12 people
little
died.
surprised that he's not charged for the deaths.
Well, I think you have to one step at a time. There's
maybe
just,
and
you know,
maybe you have to prove intent, and that's hard
Exactly.
to do if you light a fire.
Exactly.
and-
And the other thing that was also sad about that, because I'm going to dig into that, all the animals that were killed and displaced.
yeah.
The shelters, they were like, we can't figure out where these animals belong. And then there was one firefighter who went into one house, and there were like 8 dogs that had just perished. It's just so sad all around. And why anyone now he's not charged. He's
he
not
is
convicted. No,
charged.
he's not
Yes.
convicted. He's not
Yeah,
convicted.
and if convicted, he will face 5 to 20 years in prison. This is a mandatory minimum of 5 years if he's convicted in this
It
case.
just breaks your heart when you hear that, and just you feel for those people who are still trying to put the pieces of their hard-earned lives back together, destroyed by potentially, possibly just one person. And that digital footprint, that forensic digital footprint, is something else. That's hard to outrun.
The evidence
Yeah, that's hard
is
to
pretty
outrun.
clear. Yeah, when you're chat GPTing exactly what happens, that's pretty tough to
Yeah.
go against.
Okay, so moving on. Another thing that Florida is known for, open carry.
Now, as of
About a week ago. Yeah, it's about a week now. So, and it's still one of those things where people are still wondering, can I carry here? Can I carry there? And, the laws, you can't do it in some places and you can in others. One of the places a lot of people really love to go to is a Publix.
I'm a Publix guy.
I'm a Publix guy too. Guy. I'm a public. I'm a guy, guys. But I love Publix, especially when they have the BOGOs. But we've done stories on Publix where people lose their temper in the deli aisle, and we've covered stories of people just like, going at
I've seen
throwing
the video of people going
throwing
at it.
hands.
Yeah.
So when I'll let our correspondent Laverne McGee
Get in the way of
explain
my chicken tendy sub. We're
some
gonna throw
of what
hands.
people are asking about. Can I carry my gun in Publix? Listen.
Open weapons just doesn't make sense.
Publix motto is where shopping is a pleasure, but retired fire paramedic Lieutenant David Murphy does not think it will be a pleasure seeing people walking around the grocery store with a weapon, even though it is now legal in Florida. His wife Irene agrees.
But I do have grandchildren. I would be alarmed if they saw people with a gun.
But not everyone we spoke with would be alarmed.
I mean, maybe we should all get one so we could be an even playing field.
Publix has 882 stores in Florida. Today, we contacted dozens of stores across Central Florida, even visiting a few in person.
The location at 2015 Edgewater Drive just told me yes.
Hours later, Publix sent out a statement saying it would follow state and federal law, but adding that customers are not allowed to create a threatening, erratic, or dangerous shopping experience. This adheres to Florida law, which prohibits people from carrying weapons in a, quote, rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner, not in necessary self-defense.
An armed society is a polite society. If you know everybody can defend themselves, it's like a craziness deterrent, I guess.
I don't think I've heard that phrase. An armed society is a polite society. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think people have this perception that because open carry became law and legal, that everyone just went out and bought guns and they're double strapping and doing everything and just walking around with guns all the time. I feel like the people who are going to do it are doing it anyway. And if they're doing it in a respectful manner, what can you do?
Right.
What
the
can you
people
do?
were already carrying guns
anyway.
next to you in Publix. You just
You
couldn't see them.
Yeah.
And maybe, that
I
made
still
people
don't
feel
want to see
better.
it. I don't mind. I don't care that they have it. I don't want to see it though.
Yeah.
And some people feel that way. You can carry it,
Yeah.
but it makes just if you're not used to being around guns,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people are not, and some people are very comfortable. But if you're not comfortable, you're like, I don't want to see it.
Well, I'll say this. I'm pretty comfortable.
You
around
are. I know
guns.
you are.
I've been around them a good chunk of my
Mhm.
life just from the way I was raised. I was raised to be very careful
Mhm.
with guns. And when you see other people with guns, I am hypersensitive to how careful they're being with that, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not, and just to be clear, you're not allowed to pull it out. You're not allowed to intimidate people. But if you have a gun on your hip, that can be a little intimidating. You're not going to mess with somebody, which why would you mess
You would
with them
hope
anyway?
not.
But
You would hope not.
it just brings in a whole new, but again, we're not the first state to do this either. There are
I
many
think
states.
we're like the almost one of the exceptions. There, like many states have
It's
it.
in the 20s of states that allow open carry right now. So it's not like they have gone into chaos.
Yeah.
But it does change some things as far as social
Sure.
interaction.
It's
that we're
just
all gonna
it's
have
the
to do.
irresponsible people you always have to worry about for anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this next story is taking over the internet. So we have a single mom in a situation with her HOA. She started posting about it on TikTok.
Oh boy.
She claims she was charged $382, got an official legal letter in the mail because her son was swinging from a tree. Not a neighbor's tree,
And yeah,
not
it's-
a protected
no, it's like in the right of way or
redwood.
something. Yeah.
This was just a tree next to his bus stop.
Mhm.
Is this kid
He's
15?
5.
He's 5 years old.
Sorry.
You keep ruining my lines. I'm building. You see this?
Get to
she
it.
just jumps in and cuts it. So he's 5 years old. They also said he was throwing rocks, not necessarily at a particular person, but I mean, I'm a 42-year-old man. I still enjoy throwing rocks. So she took to TikTok. She now has a monstrous following, more than 1 million subscribers, partially due to this whole situation she's been posting about. Here is community correspondent Troy Campbell with a look at this situation.
Right here's the tree where Ariel Barner says her 5-year-old son, Owen, has swung on. Now she says she's received a legal letter warning he stay off of it.
Because he touched a tree?
Ariel Barner says this is a picture of her 5-year-old son, Owen.
It's October, so he's been in school 2 months.
But Barner says a couple of weeks ago, she received this letter from an attorney from the University Pines Property Owners Association, saying the violation is for, quote, children swinging from tree branches and throwing rocks.
They are hyper in the mornings. A bunch of kids out here. Everyone's happy. They're running. They have their backpacks and their folders. I just never thought my son's joy would be seen, I guess, as a target or a discomfort.
Upset by the letter, she then walked door to door, letting her neighbors know about the violation notice she had received.
She wrote him up as a public nuisance and annoyance to the neighborhood. And the money that she wants me to pay, the $382.16, I believe, is the attorney's fees to draft the letter to me.
Do you feel like you're being targeted?
I think I'm the first person to stand up for myself.
Barner says she's received an outpouring of support from her more than 1.5 million followers on TikTok.
When I posted about it, I only did that because when I reached out to the numbers that were available, no one got back to me. To list him as a public nuisance and annoyance to the neighborhood was disheartening as a mother. I never thought that someone would try to label my child like that and then say that it was the community's decision.
So she seems sweet. You feel for her in this situation. I do want to keep in mind that whenever we see these stories, you never know what the other side is saying.
And there's always another
And there
side.
is always another side. It seems very unreasonable when we hear just her side of the story, but I am always very cautious in these situations when it seems like, is someone
Wow,
being this crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's some other layer to this that we're just not aware of.
I hope we eventually hear from
The HOA.
the HOA or the neighbor who is complaining, because it seems like looking at her posting, there's one neighbor in particular who seems to maybe record her son doing these things. And this mom had her son one day just take flowers to different neighbors, and people were mad at her for doing that.
What a monster.
Because, she's like, I don't want to cause any problems, but I want them to see him as a child. And, if they think he's a menace, they won't see him as a 5-year-old boy. They'll see him as what he's been labeled as a nuisance. This story has picked up so much traction. I only learned about it because my niece, who lives in North Carolina, said, did you know this was happening in Orlando? She watches News 6 Tonight, by the way. So
She's a good one.
She sent me the link to this story, and I was like, I had not heard of this. And I asked our desk, and they were like, we know about this, and we've been trying to find her. So it is really blown up, not just here in Central Florida, but worldwide. This one
Bugs me, I will say, just on a personal note, when people just don't understand that kids are going to be kids sometimes. They're going to be a little rambunctious. And as somebody who's raised kids, it gets me excited. I like to see a little kid being a little obnoxious.
I love the sound of laughter in the neighborhood.
I know, it's
kids
good.
that play. It's
Just
like
playing and fighting.
Oh
When
my
a kid's
gosh.
crying on the airplane, you know what I think? Thank God that's not my kid. That makes me sleep so well.
You know what I do? I try to make extra eye contact with the mom, and so like it's okay.
You're good.
It's all
You're
right.
good.
It's fine.
I
Yeah.
like that. That's the way we should all act.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
top of the show, I said there's one truth in news, that there's always a Florida connection. I take it back. There's two truths. There's always a Florida connection, and Disney's always going to raise its prices.
Boom.
We're going to talk about another price hike coming up after the break.
Yeah, and he got the link from the show just a little while ago, I think. So we'll make sure we have that for News 6 tonight. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We know you're busy, but news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
That's right. And this is News 6 Tonight, where we leverage this entire busy newsroom with our community correspondents, our producers, our content desk, and then we filter through that. We have a casual conversation about the news that impacts Central Florida.
Yeah, we live here in the community, and we rely on you for our neighborhood network because you're our eyes and ears as well, and we can't do it without you.
So you can watch us all over the place, YouTube, News 6 Plus app, and clickorlando.com. While you're here, feel free to engage. Let us know who you are and where you're from.
In other news, okay, people give Disney such a hard time, and I get it. It's already very expensive to go to the happiest place on earth, right? It's really expensive.
know-
I used to I used to like have an annual pass, but I didn't use it enough.
I used to as well.
Yeah.
You know what's not the happiest place on earth?
Your wallet?
No, no. Apparently, Disneyland is the happiest place on earth.
Oh, Disneyland.
This is the most
magical
place on earth.
Thank you for that correction.
A
because-
Disney fanatic
No,
got
okay.
on me the other day. It
No,
was
they're probably some of them are sitting right in our purview right here. Well, Disney announced today that next year prices are going to go up, and you'll probably end up paying.
clutching my pearls right now.
Speaking of prices, so you're going to end up paying on a peak day. It could go up to $209, and then parking is going to go up a little bit too. And it is already expensive. Families save for a lifetime to make one trip to Central Florida, and you pray that it doesn't rain and everything's perfect. It is just one of those things. Do we have video or do we have the graphic of what's going to happen here? So here's the average price. One day admission will go up by $5. Peak holiday tickets start at
These are
two-
the peak holidays.
Peak,
So,
but-
like, if you go at a random time, it won't be this much.
No, but still, it'll
But
it'll
when
cost you
everybody
pretty
wants to
close
go.
to that. Exactly. And annual passes will cost $20 to $80 more, and standard parking will be $35. That is a good chunk of change for a family of one or two. So I did a little bit of math. Actually, I asked ChatGPT to come up with a plan for if the Gadstons went to Disney, and there are 15 kids in the Gadsden family, and
She's not lying.
and then the parents have to go too.
Mhm.
Right? So 17. So 17 tickets at peak because that's the only time we'd all be able to get off. $3,553. Okay, now you're in the park.
Right. You can't eat. Did you park? Did you add
Oh
parking?
yeah, we parked. But I
Paul and
didn't-
Rosalie are going to have to save up for a while.
So the other is so they gave me a modest budget of $60 for that one day for each person to spend on food for the whole day. Each person gets $60. That adds an additional $1,020 to the bill of $3,553. Now, where are we staying?
On the streets? Pick your favorite cardboard box.
I just think it is so, we
It's
never,
ridiculous. I
I
mean,
only
it's
went as
insane.
an adult. I was only able to go to Disney as an adult and still found it pretty expensive.
It makes me so mad. It does, because they're making a lot of money. If you look at their corporate reports, it's not like they're,
Yeah.
it's just pure
They do.
greed. And it makes me sad because what kind of income do you have to have? It used to be everybody could go to Disney. Not everybody.
I think
There were,
opening day ticket prices were like $3.50 or something.
if you were impoverished, you weren't going to Disney.
No.
But your average middle class family could go to Disney, and it didn't
No.
really kill you for
Yeah.
the year. Now they just can't do it, and it seems like they're more interested in gaining the millionaires and the billionaires and getting them to come.
Well, they got to please their shareholders too. And I do want to say that when Disney, when they do things in the community, they do it right. And when a
Absolutely. They
day,
deserve
you
some
don't
flowers,
really
yeah.
have a bad day at Disney when you go, because they know what they're doing, and they are like the model for other places. It's like, let's do it like Disney's. So
There's a reason it's full all the time. There's a reason they can charge
Yeah.
these outlandish prices. But at some point, when is too much too much? When are you making enough money?
as long as people are willing to pay it,
They're going to keep charging.
Yeah.
I mean, just tacking it on. It bothers. I haven't been in years, and I live here. By the way, they used to give you great Florida resident
yeah.
discounts.
Oh, I thought you
It
were
made
going
a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Sue says back in 2010, it was $8,000 for 3 adults and 1 child.
What? Whoa. Maybe there's an extra
There
zero
might be an
there.
extra zero in there or something. All right, we're
Maybe.
going to fact check.
Still a
you, Sue.
lot.
Thanks for
Still a
joining
lot.
us
Yeah.
today, Sue.
Thank
We
you, Sue.
appreciate it. Hey, one thing we pay close attention to in this newsroom, aside from Disney prices, is the St. Johns River. The height of this river, it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
And when certain things interact with it, so you get some rain and it goes up a little bit, or when there's a king tide,
Which we are
it
experiencing.
can really stretch that thing, and it is on the verge of getting to that point where we know it's going to flood some people's homes and hit that flood stage. People are already buying sandbags. Our community correspondent, Catherine Silver, is checking in with the folks to see how they're feeling along the St. Johns River.
Okay. One by one, every bag Bill Bibbs fills and then packs into the back of his truck will be placed directly in front of his doors.
Over time, they deteriorate, so you got to replace them.
This is routine for this retiree. He says he doesn't live on the river or the lake in Geneva, but he is downhill.
I'm at the bottom of a hill on a paved road, and everything flows down my driveway. As long as we direct the water by, it flows on down to a canal and doesn't cause any damage to your home. But the folks out on the lake always have problems.
The water is already high here on Lake Harney. The nearby St. Johns River is at action stage, and with more rain on the way, it's expected to stay that way through the weekend.
This is just Stanford, the same situation in Lake Harney.
Our chief meteorologist, Candace Campo, showed us the bigger picture from Brevard to Flagler.
This just gives you a kind of a snapshot of how much rain has fallen, but notice where it's all falling. It's right along the St. Johns.
And she says it's not just the rain, it's the wind.
Right now we have these strong onshore winds, and that basically slows down the draining process.
So it's just holding that water there.
Exactly.
And, it is a big concern for people who are in that area and that river. Anytime we have, the king tides are doing it right now, but I just remember when we would have bad storms, like this was a slow burn of a river. You get all the weather that would happen, and it wouldn't be
And then
until
it
days
seeps
after.
into that river.
Exactly. We're going to bring in meteorologist Jonathan Kegas to talk about a couple of things. He did your 9:30 show, Jonathan, I watched the other night, and I learned a lot. I knew that it was one of the most unique rivers in the entire world because it is one of the slowest moving rivers in the world. But it also does something unusual too. Most rivers in North America flow south, but the St. Johns goes north, and that makes it just an odd creature.
It's super odd, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why it is so incredibly hard to drain the thing too, and that's why it's agonizing when we get it to any kind of flood stage. It just takes forever, and any kind of resistance, and we're seeing that resistance, and we have been over the last week. It just takes forever to go down. We've been in flood stage basically since Labor Day on the St. Johns at Astor. There's been a few day period in early October that we briefly got out, and then we had those twin hurricanes off our coast that helped to kind of push back the flow. And now we have the king tides, and now we're going to get this coastal storm. So it's just like insult to injury that's coming our way. because of that coastal storm, guys, we do have a coastal flood watch in play. And this is the same reason for you were just talking about. This is not from the rain that's going to fall. We are going to get some heavy rain on the coast, and we could see some minor flooding in poor drainage areas. But the reason why this is in effect is because of what you were just talking about. We have the higher than normal tides, and now we're going to increase that wind out of the east. You heard Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos talking about that, and it's not going to allow the river to drain, and it's actually going to kind of force it back in. So when you start to push something back, it naturally has to go up, and that's what we're going to see first in Astor, and then it'll trickle down to a lower degree in parts of Seminole County and Volusia County along the St. John. So coming up at 9:30 tonight, we're going to talk about this coastal storm and what it means. And there's also a new little area that the National Hurricane Center just highlighted in the Atlantic. We are going to talk about that. I'll show you where it is coming up at 9:30 tonight.
Sounds good.
Still in hurricane season.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Don't
gotta
forget.
remember that.
All
Thank you, Jonathan.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome to News 6 Tonight. We are so thankful that you're joining us here wherever you found us.
Yeah, you know what this tells me? If you have made this your new streaming destination, it tells me you're smart, also good looking, because you chose to watch the news in a different way. That makes you really smart. Anybody can give you the news from a teleprompter or an old newspaper. We do it in a fresh new way.
That's right. So check us out wherever you like to stream. We have this app for your TV, News 6 Plus. You can find it on Roku and Amazon and whatever your smart TV is cooking. So thank you. We would love to hear your comments down
Oh my
below.
gosh. Yeah.
And then we'll show them.
Yeah, we will. News 6 Plus. The plus is you.
Ooh. Ginger, what would you do? You're getting ready to sit down and eat your vittles. You've got some wings, a little blue cheese dressing. Is that how you like to eat your wings? You a wing person?
First of all, vittles. No, I'm a wing person, but I only want the flats.
We could eat wings together because I want what do you call them? The drumettes?
Yeah, or
you
the
call them that?
Yeah, I think
call them the legs, right? Is that what they're?
It's a wing.
I don't
A wing
know.
doesn't have a leg.
The little rounds. Do people call them rounds? I don't know. Imagine you're sitting there eating your wings and the ceiling falls in. That happened
gosh.
at a wing place down in Pine Hills. We're talking to some folks who.
Yeah, that would be a frightening experience. You're just trying to enjoy your wings on a Wednesday. So hopefully everybody's okay. Our community correspondent, Jarrell Baker, is going to have that story for you fresh and new at 10 and 11
I
o'clock
like
tonight.
my wings with a side of blue cheese, not a side of ceiling and asbestos.
You can have my celery too. See you
You don't eat
tomorrow.
the celery?
No.
You're crazy, man.
I stir my ranch with it.